So, I am very excited about today's podcast guest. I am going to welcome Dr. Joe Perez to the podcast. Now, Joe has got the most amazing biography, and I'm probably not going to do it justice just whizzing through it. But he's a senior systems analyst, fractional CTO. He's a best-selling author and travels the world doing keynote speaking. Trying to get this scheduled has been great fun in amongst all his speaking. But he's been doing data in all sorts of forms for nearly 40 years now, with data management, data analytics, data visualization, data governance, and it sounds like pretty much anything else data. He is an absolute influencer in this space. He's got over 16,000 followers on LinkedIn. And he's been listed amongst the top 10 influencers in all sorts of platforms like Thinkers 360. So yeah, he's just a really inspirational guy. I have loved our chats getting to this stage. But I really wanted to pick up on somebody with some expertise in data visualization, because I think it's something where perhaps as data governance professionals, we need to really understand it and utilize the people that are doing that in our organization a bit better. So let's dive on in. But before we get onto the data visualization, I wanted to ask you, Joe, I've kind of hinted it in the intro, but how long have you been working into data? And more importantly, how did you get into it? Because it's not always a chosen career. A lot of us fall into it by accident.
Right. Well, thank you, Nicola. You are so very kind and gracious to have me on your program. It's just a tremendous honor for me. So, I suppose if you think about it, all of us have been working in data since the day we were born. From decoding baby babble to deciphering spreadsheets to counting your fingers and toes. We've been data detectives since day one, or so it would seem, right? Again, learn to count your fingers and toes, crunching numbers and making sense of the world around us as we grow up. But as for me, in the professional realm, because I know that's what you really meant, of course, right? Yeah. If we're talking about getting serious with data, well, I've been riding that data wave for almost 40 years, as you hinted to, turning data into insights, turning numbers into narratives. As to how I got into it, well, I was an educator for 10 years before I got into my current IT career, Nicola. And transitioning from education into technology was actually more of a natural progression, as one would think. In the last few
Right.
years of my last few years as a career in education, I took on increasingly responsible jobs of a technical nature. That typically be during the summers when I wouldn't be teaching, and that was primarily to supplement my income at the time, because, of course, educators typically aren't the best paid of professions.
No.
But yeah, in keeping with the technology-based minor of my doctoral degree, it became more than just a way to stay ahead of my bills. I was actually starting to get pretty good at it, going beyond the call of duty wherever I worked to resolve issues, improve efficiency, and implement all kinds of data related ideas that would greatly benefit those clients, especially as the nature of the work became more and more complex. And I was, well, better able to leverage my graduate education and hone my technical skills on those jobs. In fact, somehow, by the grace of God, I got so good at it that they had me running the school's computer lab the last year that I
Wow.
taught. Yeah. So when the job offer came, for me to become a computer consultant at NC State University, not only was it a major promotion for me, but well, it was a natural evolution of my career progression. And it was indeed a true blending of my two greatest professional loves, education over here, technology over here, and they come together. And as I rose through the ranks at NC State University over the next 25 years to, let's see, computer training manager, analyst programmer, and then business intelligence specialist, not only was I responsible for designing educational training programs, but also educating our key stakeholders about the multifaceted data that we're all supposed to be reporting on, along with providing the insights that they can derive from those data.
Mm.
I really, really enjoyed showing people just how satisfying that insight can really be. And even more so when you just happen to be the one that gets to present the data, right?
Mm.
Especially when it's presented in a logical, truthful, and visually compelling manner. So, with all that being said, Nicola, my educational background in both computers and theology of all things, and even education, provided me with a unique perspective, and all that allowed me to effectively bridge the gap between technical expertise and human understanding when it comes to data. So, in short, it's been a wild ride, Nicola, full of insights ready and waiting to be unearthed.
That's just an amazing origin story, Joe.
Yeah.
And I love the passion and enthusiasm you bring even just to explain that. And I can only imagine what it's like when you're training people on data, because I think that's what you need is people that actually bring it to life and are talking about something they care about, as you so clearly do. So amongst the many things that you are an expert in, you are an acknowledged expert in data visualization. Now, I would think that, perhaps not everybody who's listening to this podcast really fully understands what that is. So I wonder if we could start with asking you to go into your educator mode and to explain
Yeah,
to us, what is data visualization?
sure. Oh man, I just love that question, Nicola. It is, again, it's a passion to me, as you can probably tell. I can definitely explain that. You know, um, I love it because, let's see, data visualization is like music to my ears. Yeah, I am a musician after all. We can talk about that some other time, but imagine, if you will, you have this vast ocean of raw data. Okay. Think of data visualization as the artist's brushstroke that transforms that ocean into a captivating masterpiece. It's about taking complex information and weaving it into visually engaging stories that speak volumes at a glance. Think of it as turning dull spreadsheets into vibrant symphonies of color and insight. Every chart, every graph, every infographic is going to dance to the rhythm of your understanding. In essence, it's about making data not just understandable, but hopefully downright mesmerizing. As you said, bringing it to life, as you hinted to. Yeah. Nicola, I'm reminded of the adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And while there's some debate over the exact origin of that phrase, I think it still resonates today. Affirming the power of visually compelling communication. Yeah, I've heard various claims over the last, I don't know, decade or so that states that the human brain processes images some 60,000 times faster than text. Some crazy thing. I don't know. I don't know if that exact number, that's ever been scientifically verified, as far as I know. Here's the point. This much is certain. In a 2014 study, MIT neuroscientists discovered that the human brain can process entire images that the eye sees for as little as 13 milliseconds. That's nothing,
Wow.
right?
That's
Yeah, it's a
amazing.
remarkable. Yeah, it is. It far surpasses the whatever the previously suggested 100 milliseconds, whatever it was. Well, guess what? That thing right there is the essence of data visualization. Okay, just as a single image can convey volumes of meaning in just an instant, so too can a well-crafted data visualization, that it can distill so much complex information into a single glance, Nicola. It's all about harnessing the brain's innate abilities to process visual stimuli with lightning speed, um, ensuring that insights are not just understood, again, but embraced. That's what I want. Embrace that understanding with a sense of immediacy. And in the realm of data storytelling, where, I don't know, every single pixel paints a narrative, if you will, it's this fusion, this mixture of art and science put together that truly brings data to life and empowers us to chart the course towards enlightenment. That is visualization, data visualization to me, my friend.
That is, yeah, that's just an amazing way of putting it. And when you were talking, you were making me think that when I'm doing my training courses on data governance, I tell people, yes, you might write a process, or you might write, here's a document to explain what data governance is, but don't share those formal, boring documents to draw a diagram.
Right.
I don't put it quite so eloquently as you, but, and you're thinking that I'm talking about a short process or a short document, but you're talking about actually, it's applying that same principle to a huge data set, and perhaps getting people to understand and see some things that they wouldn't have understood from it if you just gave them a massive spreadsheet.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because the spreadsheet is just rows and columns, and the brain just doesn't have the capacity to internalize that quickly in the same way that you can when you see it visualized in a picture, in a visually compelling manner.
Yeah, absolutely. So, me being a bit of a data governance geek, you can probably guess what the next question's going to be. Because,
Uh-oh.
I'd love to kind of understand from your viewpoint, how would you describe the relationship between data visualization and data governance?
Hmm. Nicola, that's an excellent question. Yeah, the dynamic dance, I guess, between the two, data visualization over here, data governance over here. Okay, I already kind of used a musical metaphor in my last answer. I might as well keep going. If we're on a roll here,
Why
Nicola,
not?
why not? That's right. Okay, to start off, think of the data visualization as, say, a beautiful melody. Okay, think of data governance as the sheet music that guides and shapes it, right? Without proper governance, your data is going to be like, I don't know, like a chaotic cacophony of noise and not a symphony. But as Einstein once said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not any simpler. It's important to find the right balance in your data governance measures so that they enhance the music rather than suffocate it. And see, that's where data visualization comes in. You might call it, I don't know, the performer that brings the governed data to life. Again, we've talked about bringing data to life. You've said that 2 or 3 times, and I'm capitalizing on it. Um, a data visualization is like a mesmerizing show where the elements are going to blend together to create some beautiful immersive experience. The synergy between visualization and governance, again, like orchestrating a symphony where every element works in harmony. Data visualization, that's the captivating melody that engages the audience, while data governance makes sure that there's a seamless integration of all the components. And on the other hand, a poor data visualization that does not follow the data governance sheet music, if you will, is going to create that chaotic experience I alluded to earlier, causing people to cover their ears and want to get out of the room. I think of that Einstein quote, right? Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not any simpler, right? Okay, well, data visualization helps to simplify intricate data into comprehensible insights, while data governance makes sure that the data's accuracy and reliability are preserved so that we have a good essence of that symphony you're writing. So bringing it all together, Nicola, when data governance and data visualization both work in harmony with each other, and not as adversaries, they create a masterpiece. The governance part sets the foundation with the fundamental principles. You got to have that. While the visualization part brings those principles to life, with enthusiasm, innovation, creating an experience that goes well beyond the written notes, if you will. Okay, I'm trying to stick with the metaphor here. Anyway, the audience doesn't simply read the musical score, but rather they immerse themselves into it completely together, right? Together. I'm talking about the governance and the visualization, I mean. And they establish a crucial alliance, steering organizations towards well-informed choices and meaningful transformations. This is the strength of merging structured data governance with the creative art of data visualization. Again, they're friends, they're not enemies, they're not adversaries, they can work together.
I just love that analogy, particularly because I'm a singer. And as you were talking,
Oh, yes,
I
you
was
are. You
thinking, you
beautiful.
know
Yeah.
what? I love sheet music because it tells me where I'm going. And if, particularly if it's something that I don't know very well. A couple of weekends ago with my choir, we went to a big choral event for local choirs, and we had a workshop in the afternoon. And they taught us en masse 4 new songs, but one of them there was no sheet music for.
Oh my.
And I felt it was fun learning, and I think it made you learn in a different way, which is always good, and it's
Sure,
good to
sure.
challenge you. But when we came to the concert in the evening, that was the only one that went wrong because we hadn't had time. We'd only been learning it for 30 minutes, a couple of hours beforehand. And, and you're kind of going, oh, was this the bit we go up? How long am I supposed to hold this note for? And I didn't have, as you say, my governance and being a very structured data geek. I love that structure. And I felt very
Yes.
exposed kind of thing. So it goes to show you that, yeah, and the other songs were lovely creations that the audience got to enjoy. But my husband, who was in the audience, said that other song was a bit weird, wasn't it? And I went, well, it was all right until we got to such and such part when there were 4-part harmonies, and of the hundreds of people there didn't all know where they were going because we had nothing to refer to. So
No
I love
data
that
governance.
analogy. Data governance gives you that it's the framework, isn't it? It's the guidance.
Right.
So
And for you data visualization experts out there who can't stand data governance, think about what Miss Nicola just said, right? You can't sing without the sheet music. You can't survive without the data governance.
yeah, and I think that's a brilliant one to the segue to the, and I didn't actually prime you for that. To the last question that I wanted to ask you is that in my experience that sometimes you do talk to the data visualization people, and they
Mhm.
kind of they just think that we're the boring people that are trying to stop them doing the data
Right.
visualization, but don't do that yet, don't do this. And but we're not. Data governance, as you know,
No.
is all about enablement. But what advice would you offer to data governance practitioners who get what you've just been describing so eloquently, and they want to work closer with their data visualization colleagues? What would you tell them to go and do?
I would not tell them to go jump in the lake. I promise. No. I would sum it up with three things, Nicola. Communicate openly, collaborate relentlessly, and together create a masterpiece of data-driven excellence that's going to resonate far beyond the confines of any organization. Um, I think I think we can look back to ancient Egypt for a powerful metaphor that illustrates just how important this symbiotic relationship is or should be. When the celebrated Egyptian architect Imhotep designed the first pyramid, that's the step pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, wherever it was, 2600 BC, something like that. Anyway, he revolutionized construction. Imhotep then did through ingenious governance principles, precise measurements, geometric calculations, and established processes that allowed thousands upon thousands of masons and other artisans to translate Imhotep's visionary designs into reality over work that took them decades to finish, the pyramid, I mean.
Mm.
However, Imhotep's pioneering methods would have amounted to little more than just theoretical sketches on papyrus if it weren't for the Mason's ability to creatively visualize his plan that was on 2 dimensions into something that would occupy 3 dimensions. Their skilled interpretations of Imhotep's blueprints or papyrus prints or whatever in the heck they were called back then.
Yeah.
Their vigorous commitment to his vision enabled one of antiquity's most iconic works of structural and visual brilliance to become a reality. The step pyramid. Of course, nobody alive today, was around when they were all sitting around putting their heads together, to figure out what they were going to do. So I must admit, that there's no way that we could possibly know what their actual conversations might have been like. We can certainly tell by the results of their work that a scenario much like the fictional one that I just described could very well have happened. Where's the proof, Joe? Well, the results of their work, that speaks for itself, right? And with that said, the long-standing marvel of the step pyramid reminds us that data governance and data visualization must work hand in hand from conception to manifestation all the way through. Governance practitioners provide that solid architectural framework you were talking about, the measurements, right?
Mm.
The processes, the calculations and so forth. Whereas the visualizers are the ones that are going to inject creative expression, turning the plan into an experience that enlightens and inspires. Nicola, just as Imhotep could not possibly have realized his dream alone, our modern pursuits that require data governance team to collaborate openly with data visualization experts, not as manager and subordinate, not as adversaries, but rather as partners, united in a common quest for impact. And when these multiple disciplines combine their respective genius for structure on the one hand and storytelling on the other, we create an enduring masterwork, just like the step pyramid. So let the free flow of insights between governance and visualization be just like the mighty Nile River, perpetual source of energy, sustenance, and wisdom for the entire organization. So, yeah, that might sound a little melodramatic, but that's the whole point. Communicate openly, operate relentlessly, and again, we shall erect an eternally relevant monument, a pyramid to data-driven excellence. Again, I don't know if I sound anything like Imhotep or not, but that's how I feel it should be done, Nicola.
That's absolutely fabulous, Joe. And I love that analogy that actually, we might be feel that perhaps we get overlooked and we're the boring ones, but we're putting in place that structure that by working with the others, we can come up with some magnificent things that last the test of time and add,
Absolutely.
great value to everyone. So, um, the time has gone so quickly. I have loved listening to you and hearing your passion and your energy just shines through as you're talking. If people want to find out more about the content you share and your books, etc., is it best to follow you on LinkedIn?
Yes, ma'am. Follow me on LinkedIn. Look me up. I'm at JW Perez at the end of your standard LinkedIn URL with a /in/ whatever it is you put on the end. It's just JWPEREZ on the end is how you find me, or just look me up, Dr. Joe Perez, or Joe Perez with Dr. Joe in parentheses. I forget how exactly it is, but yes, ma'am. LinkedIn is the best way to find me. There's 17,100 and something other people have already done so. My bio is outdated. I should have told you, So people have been reaching out. I'm so thrilled and happy to continue the conversation, to share the books that I've written, to speak at your events, different events that could use a keynote speaker or somebody to bring that passion and inject that energy into the crowd. I just love doing that because, again, as you said, I am extremely passionate about these topics. And more than anything, I want to ensure that people know how to bring data to life, whether it's governance or visualization. Let's work together to make it compelling so that people can have value created for their organizations.
That's just amazing, Joe. And we need more Joes. We need to clone you to be
You're very
spreading
kind.
that message and that enthusiasm. Because, as data people, we know that we're adding value to anything our organizations do. But sometimes people are not so good at explaining that. And you've just shown us exactly
Right.
how to go about doing that in a way that's going to, just get people lapping it up and listening to us. So this has been the most amazing conversation, Joe. Um,
Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you so much for coming on the
Yes, ma'am.
podcast.
Well, the honor and pleasure have been mine, ma'am. You're so kind and gracious, and I watch your shows and watch your speeches and your singing and everything. You are just a phenomenal influencer for good on all things data, data governance, and so forth. I've just enjoyed thoroughly this honor and privilege to be on your program, ma'am. You are the real star, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.